Global Transformation Astrology, GTA, with William Stickevers.
So let's talk about our favorite president. So just 38% of voters think Biden lives through the second term poll. Now, that's very interesting because Biden, as I've been saying for many, many months now, is in the loosening of the bond period. And when people pass who are up there in age, we're talking about 70 years plus, especially for males, 80 years plus for females. If they have a loosening of the bond period, which he went into starting last year and will remain throughout his presidency, then it indicates many cases if you have life-threatening or age-related life-threatening disorders that can escalate and can only be slowed down at best with current medical technology, one is likely to pass suddenly during an LB period, not like a long drawn-out thing. It's not like, oh, I had cancer for 8 months and on chemo until they pass. No. This is like you just don't wake up one morning, right? You're fine. Nobody saw it coming. Boom. So it's interesting now, without knowing astrology, that only 38% of voters think President Biden will survive his second term in office. I was thinking it's only 38% chance he'll even survive until January 20th at this point. I mean, I think it's like a 28% or 18% chance. Knowing the astrology and understanding the way they conducted the poll, I would say he may have a 38% chance of surviving to January 20th and an 18% chance of surviving till January 20th, 2029. So what we're seeing here is voters think Biden is too old and they are not changing their mind according to these pollsters. The way people view Biden, it's really not shaped through events such as the State of the Union address, meaning they expected Biden's probability of being reelected in terms of the odds makers to go up. It really did not move much, right? People said, well, he did this really fiery speech. There was a Moon-Mars conjunction that night, by the way, when he did this really loud, it sounded like he was screaming most of the time. It was probably pumped up on drugs. So, they talked about that. But the fact of the matter is people said it doesn't really matter because no matter what he does, he is just too old. So the solid perception that he is too old is feeding through to a sense he is too weak, and it's a major problem for him going into November. So if he doesn't make it, Kamala Harris will become the left's new vessel to advance policies with the stroke of a pen. So 36% of those polled believe that Harris will be the president by the end of the term, while 29% say they don't know, right? Because they don't really understand how succession works. So this is what is going on here, where 54% of people are confident Trump will live through a second term. So very telling, very, very telling. Okay. Bidenomics failure is showing up at polls as Gen Z. Gen Z is January 2001 until January 2021. So that 20-year period. So Gen Z, the Gallup poll of 18 to 29-year-olds, it's slightly older. So basically born sometime around 1999 to 2000, 2001. But in terms of the astrology, it would be 2001. And the millennials are 1981 till 2001. And then Gen Xers are 1961 till 1980, right? So it's basically a 20-year period. So the Gallup poll is indicating that the Biden administration, which cares more about illegal aliens and the LGBTQ community, is losing young voters very quickly. Actually, the young voters are more worried than baby boomers. Baby boomers are solid now. Either they have money, plenty of money, or they're living with their kids, but they're in a much more solid situation. The people who are younger, they're more worried about the economy than the older generation. So they're much more worried than they were going into the 2020 presidential election. So the Biden administration understands they desperately need Gen Z and millennial support to win in November, right? And they're trying everything in their power to buy votes by bailing out youngsters with student debt, despite the Supreme Court ruling. They're just doing everything right now. So we're seeing the beginning of the collapse support of Biden, and that's going to play out a lot between now and October. So if we look at Trump, he's getting hit by this eclipse. Now, Trump is an eclipse baby. So when eclipses occur, he gets empowered. It's like Godzilla going to radiation. If, like, Godzilla is in trouble, he just finds a source of radiation, sucks it in, makes him more powerful, and then he defeats his monster opponent. So every time an eclipse, it's like a radiation treatment, right? And so now Trumpzilla is, regalvanized. So this is going to be a very powerful period for Trump. Like March 5th, he won the Republican nomination. It's like deja vu all over again. And what we've seen here, we're looking at the current betting odds. Trump's numbers since September in terms of the betting odds, are still increasing. They've gone down a bit. Biden bottomed here around the State of the Union address and it started moving up. But we could see based on Polymarket that it's still a very close race in terms of the probability of winning. However, if we look at the election polls, which include third-party candidates, these are the most competitive states. So these are the states right now that will determine the outcome. So we could see Wisconsin is basically tied. Michigan, Trump is slightly ahead by 1.8%. Pennsylvania, 2.4%. Look at New Jersey. New Jersey is cut down to 5%. Now think about that. New Jersey was like 23% into Biden's corner in 2020. And Hillary, I think she won by 16%. Georgia, definitely in Trump territory at 5%. Arizona, 5.2%. Nevada, 5.5%. North Carolina, 5.7%. And now Virginia is in play, believe it or not. I mean, I don't believe it will flip red, but the fact that it's in play and you have 14% of Virginia voters who are going to vote for RFK Jr. is very telling. So when we look at Biden's road to the 270 Electoral College, he must win Pennsylvania and Michigan. Like if you hear he's behind in Michigan and Pennsylvania, it's over with. So the election for him starts with these two states. And what's interesting is Michigan, you see Trump slightly ahead. In Pennsylvania, Trump is slightly ahead. So let's assume you're Team Biden and you figured you're able to basically hold off Trump in Pennsylvania and Michigan. Then Trump needs to win Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin. He needs to win these states. These are three. All he needs to do is neutralize one of these three states. Nevada doesn't count. Nevada is not needed by either side. It will not be decisive. So if you're going to deploy resources and you're going to set up your campaign schedule, what states are you going to go? If you're Team Biden and you can basically secure very narrow, thin wins in these two states, then you only need to take one of these three out. But here's the problem. Biden continues to lead in must-win state Pennsylvania. When we look at 35 polls, Biden has led Trump in Pennsylvania for the first time since January. So he's consolidating his position here. But Trump is just slightly behind. You can see this is a very close race. But the bigger problem is Trump continues to lead in must-win state Michigan. So this is the Michigan polls right here. If you take out Michigan, it's impossible for Biden to win. He must win Michigan and Pennsylvania. You take out one of those two, and Trump continues to lead Biden in the Michigan polls. Trump is 47 against Biden's 43. This is based on 32 polls. So right now, based on the prediction markets for April 4th, this is what the map would look like. A very tight, narrow race where Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia, according to prediction markets, will end up going Republican or flipping red in November.
To watch the full presentation and more like this on geopolitics, the economy, and world events from an archetypal and mundane astrological perspective, join the Global Transformation Astrology membership. Go to gta.williamstickevers.com. Become a GTA member today.